All right. Well, hey, that was a close one, but we are now live for Slingshot Racing, leading the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance. If it's Tuesday, that means we're racing, and we are racing with some high stakes tonight here at Daytona. I'm Ellis Thomas, joined in the booth by Chris Smith tonight, everyone. Welcome. We are going racing for 60 laps at Daytona. This is the final race of the regular season leading into the playoffs. We've got a handful of drivers racing on the bubble tonight. They're going to be giving it their all as they head into 60 laps that could determine whether they have a chance at the championship or they're left on the outside looking in at the end of the evening. We'll talk about those drivers throughout the night, but we're looking at drivers like Wesley Pistol, Chris Pierce, Scott Tompkins, Jay Leach, and Evan Pienta. You're going to see their name highlighted in blue throughout the evening on the ticker to the left, so you'll know those are the drivers that are having to race their way in, that it could be the end of the title hopes for them tonight. We're going to have a couple extra pace laps. We are right now making our way around the track. Our race controller, Sam Maxwell, has been gracious enough to give us a couple of extra pace laps to set this race up for the viewers. We appreciate you being patient. We know we went live a little bit later than normal, but Chris, we've got some stories to follow to set this race up for everybody. So just looking through, lots of stakes tonight. Not only is it leading into the chase, final chance for some drivers, but tonight there's a paycheck on the line. $25 goes to the winner of this race as part of our Crown Jewel program. 4 of those this season. This is the third one. One driver's going to take home $25 at the end of the evening. We mentioned the playoff battle. You're going to see those drivers highlighted in Apex Energy Blue on the left side of the screen throughout the evening, so you'll be to keep an eye on them as well. Chris, pit stops are everything. Drivers we think are going to have to make at least one pit stop this evening. Why do pit stops matter so much here at Daytona in these super speedway races?
Well, they're super important because you have to have friends coming on and coming off pit road, and you have to get organized quickly. Everybody has to have a good stop that's in your group. If you don't have a good stop, then you possibly put yourself at a disadvantage once everybody has completed their pit stops. And if one group is able to emerge really far out in front of another one, that could be the end of the race for those drivers who did not get on and off pit road as well.
And you mentioned teamwork. We're going to see a lot of that tonight with a handful of teams probably working to help each other out. And at a track like Daytona, where the draft matters so much, you need as many friends as possible. Drivers are going to be really relying on each other to push themselves to the front and keep themselves out of trouble over the course of the evening. And that could be the difference between a win and second place at the end of the night if you've got someone pushing that you can trust. And speaking of pushing can go wrong in an instant here. They're not off the throttle very much around Daytona. One wrong push to one part of the car that might upset the back end of that truck, Chris, could turn one car around and lead to even bigger problems. We're going to be keeping our eyes out for the big one tonight that is notorious at these super speedway races. Drivers are going to have one more pace lap around as they have to think about that tonight. What are you doing strategy-wise? Are you going towards the front, racing hard early if you're one of these bubble drivers looking to make their way into the playoffs? Or are you riding in the back, kind of biding your time and playing it safe? What strategy would you take?
I think that the drivers who run up front all night, I think they know what to do at the end of the race because they've felt the energy of the pack. They know what they can get away with and what they can't get away with. I always felt like if I rode in the back, like I might be safer from the sense of like I might actually have, a really good opportunity to be around at the end. But I kind of was on the back foot, about knowing what I needed to do. So I think there's something to be said for riding up front. But if I'm one of these bubble drivers who's maybe just barely in, that's going to be tough. And we'll show you the points as they stand coming into tonight. It's really 3 spots that are available between 5 different drivers.
It's very close. Some drivers are going to have the night end in a heartbreak for them. You can see starting with 10th place, that's where the battle really begins. Only Only 5 points separate 10th to 12th, and then you can see how much closer it is right back there all the way to 14th position. So we got 5 guys, including Wesley Pistol, Chris Pierce, Scotty Tompkins, Evan Pienta, and Jay Leach. We're going to be keeping an eye on everyone, but those are the drivers that have a lot at stake tonight. Of course, everyone wants to win at Daytona. Normally, we start the season off here, but we mixed it up this season with a chase for the championship. The final 5 races. After tonight, the top 12 will reset, and each driver will be separated by 5 points in descending order from where they finished the regular season in points. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be the first time we've done it. These drivers are excited. We're going to talk about some other cool things happening with the drivers outside of the playoffs next week. But right now, Chris, 31 drivers have pulled their seatbelts tight. Scotty Sobczak on the pole. Jacob Bradley second. They're going to lead them to the line, and green flag is out for the final race of the regular season for the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance. We're racing in Daytona. Scotty Sobczak leads them down into 1. He's got an earful of Aaron Smith, that bright yellow Hank Thomas Performance machines in second. They've got a push from Justin Wilson. Smith quickly moves up in front of Jacob Bradley, leading that outside line. They pull even with the red, white, and blue car or truck of Scotty Sobczak, and that momentum, Chris, has shifted to the outside line. They've got 4 or 5 drivers lined up. It looks like that bottom's having a little bit of trouble getting going, but as soon as I say that, Aaron Smith ducks down to the bottom and assumes the lead after starting in 3rd position. Smith already up to 1st. Looked like he might try to go up and close up that gap on the 50 of Jacob Bradley, but he thinks better of it. Bradley looks like he's going to lead this lap.
Yeah, it really just depends on where the momentum is, like where the push is. And we'll be talking about that a lot tonight. We saw Aaron Smith go up to that top because the top lane was a little bit more organized. They were a little bit closer together than the bottom lane, and that's where the momentum came from.
You saw the momentum now shifting back up top after the bottom got a nice run. Jacob Bradley leads that pack, and look how close those drivers are, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Payday Racing drivers lined up nose to tail, Chris. You couldn't really fit a sheet of paper in between the back bumper of Bradley and the front nose of Randy Bechtel there. But you can kind of see it works on the exit of corners, but that inside line's able to make up a little bit of ground on the entry, up about to the center of the corner before that outside line can get the momentum moving again. Everyone giving each other space right now. Lap 3 has begun. 2 laps in the book. Jacob Bradley continues to lead. Several drivers working their way through the field, Chris. This shouldn't come as a surprise, but now running 12th after starting 22nd, Patrick Colby in that Alabama Crimson Tide truck, the number 9, you can kind of see him in the back of the frame there, is slowly creeping his way up to the front on the outside. He gets ready to join that outside pack. That shows you how quickly that draft can work here at Daytona. If you can get a small little suck on the car in front of you or the truck in front of you, and these trucks, Chris, they open a pretty big hole in the air. Just wait, the greenhouse is designed. It's very big. It protrudes quite a bit, and it allows a big hole for these drivers to get in. And without air going straight on the nose, there's less resistance, right? So speed increases. What's the downside, though, of less resistance on those trucks that we might see tonight unfold? Downforce is going to be a premium. So when you take air off the hood, you're automatically making the car handle just a little bit worse because there's not air pressing down on it, and drivers are going to be experiencing that. We talked to several drivers in pre-race. They're worried that these trucks feel a little bit darty, so there's some concern, and I think maybe that's why we're seeing these drivers take it easy early. Right now, 4 laps in the books as drivers cross the line to start lap number 5. We're still side by side. It continues to be the bright number 70 of Aaron Smith and the 50 of Jacob Bradley side by side. Right now, those are 1st and 3rd in the point standings. And right now, showing a lot of speed early.
Yeah.
Another driver, go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing I want to mention is one thing that we'll have to keep an eye on all night is water temperature. We see a little bit more separation between some of these trucks, more so than what we saw before. Randy Bechtel's still pretty close to Jacob Bradley, but he's not doing that pushing like he was before, and it's just because you can't do it. You cannot lock bumpers for multiple laps over and over and over again because that water temperature will just go up. So that's another thing you got to keep in mind is just taking care of that truck and taking care of that engine.
Seeing a lot of caution and patience from drivers right now. Jay Leach, Chris, having a good run. He's sitting in 8th in that number 22 Great Lakes Brewing Chevy Silverado there on the inside. He's the 4th car right behind Justin Wilson. Top line has to check up a little bit. But I'm looking at cars, and one of the cars I'm seeing dart around the least right now, Jay Leach, that driver out of Liberty Center, Ohio, hasn't run the full season, but he's run several races. And Chris, he's a fast racer. We just haven't seen him up at the front as much as we might expect this season. But right now, he's showing he's got speed, and he's holding a steady wheel as we ride on board the number 22. And you get a sense of speed. Connor Lines in the chat said these guys look like they're going 190 plus. They're almost there in the draft. These things are going pretty fast right now.
Yeah, they are. And we actually saw Justin Wilson duck out of line. Looked like he, dipping below the yellow line. You can do that as long as you don't advance your position. And it looked like to me he was just trying to get a little bit of air on the nose, trying to keep that water temperature down. And I'm seeing a lot of patience out there, liking what I'm seeing right now. There's no sense in tearing stuff up this early.
We got to stop saying it, though, because I felt like combined, both of us have said it probably 4 times. And I feel like if we hit that 5th time, the commentator's curse is going to strike. Yeah. It is going to take hold. Right now, drivers looking good. Everyone holding a steady wheel. Just looking through the field right now, Patrick Piper having a good run in 19th position. I want to give a shout out to Patrick's mom, Ingrid, who's at home recovering from some health issues. We're glad she's tuning in, rooting on Patrick as we have some 3 wide racing begin as Scotty Sobczak gets shuffled back there. He's in what we call the sucker hole or no man's land. He's got some help from his teammate Patrick Colby. But yeah, Ingrid, if you're watching, we hope you're getting better and doing well, and we hope Patrick has a great run for you tonight. I think he's got a special scheme on that car tonight. Looking pretty good. Get well soon, Mom. The driver, the number 38, Patrick Piper, so we'll be keeping an eye on him. Meanwhile, Justin Wilson looks like we're going to change lanes. Wilson is going to move up to the outside, leading that front row. Head of steam. He collects his payday teammates. Payday drivers lined up 1, 2, 3, 4 on the outside there. Another driver whose parent is watching, John Rapp, father of Johnny Rapp right now in 4th position. John, we hope you're doing well as well. Johnny's having a good run right now, sitting in the 7th position. These drivers starting to mix it up, Chris. I don't know if handling's going away on them or not, or if they're just getting a little bit more comfortable. As we go 3 wide, they're going to split the 70 of Aaron Smith. Evan Pienta and Jay Leach for the first time tonight move to the front of the field. Jay Leach in that black 22, the Evan Pienta machine, the 55 there on the inside, making hay up to the front. Evan Pienta giving Jay Leach a handful of shots to the back bumper. Very careful, doing a good job of not hitting him in the wrong place. Jay Leach looks like he's going to lead lap number 9 here of 60. We're almost a 1/6 of the way through this race, but right now the outside once again propels towards the front. It's Wilson, Bradley, and Bechtel on the outside. About a car length separates Bradley, or Bechtel I should say, from Rapp. And then we've got Scotty Tompkins back there, 5th car on the outside. He's doing a good job. Looks like he's running a special paint scheme tonight. That's a Kevin Harvick throwback tribute scheme, I believe, in that Pawlowski machine back to Kevin Harvick's rookie season, white 29 paint scheme.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of movement going on up here in the pack. I think the payday guys wanted to get together. They wanted to be running nose to tail. I also think that, Aaron Smith, he might have been caught a little bit by surprise by those guys and kind of left himself opened up for Jay Leach to come up the middle. And we're seeing right here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bubble drivers currently in the top 10. They are not afraid to go up there and race tonight.
No, and if we're looking at like drivers like Jay Leach and Evan Pienta, they're the ones looking out. Yeah, Jay knows he needs as many points as possible. So we're seeing kind of a new version of Jay Leach out there tonight. He's getting aggressive. He's hungry from the very beginning, Chris. That's one of the things that we normally talk about in the beginning of the season at Daytona, risk versus reward. Tonight, drivers have to be risky, especially if they're in those situations that Jay Leach and Evan Pienta are in right now, working together to try to lead some laps, as many points as possible. When you're talking about a bubble battle that's separated by 4, 5, 6 points, 1 point could be the difference as we watch Justin Wilson pull side by side with Jay Leach headed down into turn number 1. Hey, look at Chris Pierce. He's also a bubble driver, pulls into the third car on the inside. Chris Pierce, driver from Winnetka, Illinois, and he's making some big noise right now in third position with Aaron Smith behind him. But I see he looks a little hesitant to get to the back bumper of the 55.
Yeah, I was noticing that also. He's a little bit further off, and it could be he's just being a little bit more cautious. Also trying to look after those water temperatures. But I think that maybe is hurting that inside line just a little bit. As you see the outside, they're stacked up on top of each other a lot closer.
Stacked up on top of each other is the name of the game here at Daytona. Chris, hey, everyone in the chat right now, we appreciate y'all if you've joined in. Don and Connor our constant soldiers on guard here in the chat. We appreciate y'all. Wesley Pistol in here. Evan Pienta dropped in as well. John, we appreciate you. Looking for other folks. MES Motorsports, I believe that's Scherf fans. Kathy Scherf's in here. Brian Alcom. John Rapp, we mentioned him. John Stankovitz is in here. Brendan, you're here. Mark Lucci is here. Whole gang's here, Chris. Lively chat tonight. And it's a continued show of thanks. Later on this race, we're going to be giving away a Ricky Stenhouse Jr. diecast for one lucky fan who participates in the chat. Is a continued thank you for just being loyal fans and showing up every single week. We've got some trivia for y'all coming up as well. I almost hate to break away from this racing. That's the pitfall of Daytona, right? Is there's not really a lull in the action, so to speak. Even with pit stops, Chris, there's so many things at stake tonight as we watch Jacob Bradley. Just the runs that these trucks get are pretty incredible to watch. Just when you think one line slowed down, all it takes, Chris, is a bump from someone else. And we saw it there. Bradley pushes Wilson out front of the 22 of Jay Leach.
Yeah, and I think that in those, probably about the lap 6 to about lap 12 range, I think we had a lot of fuel saving going on. I was trying to watch the top speeds and try to see, like how those looked, and I think there was a lot of drivers who were saving fuel then, and a lot of it might be because of our extra pace laps tonight. They're trying to get to a certain mark. I don't think it's going to matter too much in the end because I don't think there's any way. Not that I don't believe in these guys, but I don't think there's any way we're going to the end without a caution.
Yeah, even with the best drivers out there, it's Daytona, especially as the laps wind down. It's going to happen. Oh, sure, it'd be great if it didn't. I'm sure the fans want to see a crash. I know the drivers don't, but right now that inside line doing really well. But I see these cars starting to jump around, Chris, a little bit more. One of the cars I've seen jumping around just a little bit, sitting back there in 10th position now, the 32 of Sean Johnson. He's a guy that's shown some speed at super speedways. He's a guy who's shown speed at a lot of tracks. Right now doing a good job sitting there in 10th position. After starting in the 10th position, he's kind of held station. Oh, a little bit of a checkup up front. Looked like Rapp got out of the throttle. Tompkins had to do the same. And then Sean Johnson, the driver you see on screen right now, did a really good job of staying out of all of that. Sean Johnson just looking, that driver out of, he's from Tupelo, Mississippi. I don't think I remembered that. But Southern driver there, no wonder he's obsessed with moon pies and Royal Crown Cola. How did I not make that connection? If you're in the chat right now, let us know. Have you ever had RC Cola? What do you think? How does it stack up against Pepsi and Coke? Have you ever even heard of Royal Crown or RC Cola? Let us know either way in the chat. While you're typing, go ahead, hit the like button, the thumbs up button to let us know you're enjoying this racing. You're seeing every thumbs up helps get our drivers in front of more eyes and more viewers on this race. So it doesn't cost you a thing. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already done so.
Yeah, we're right on board right here with Chris Pierce. And if you look ahead from Chris Pierce to the driver ahead, Evan Pienta, you'll see that there is somebody's eyes piercing into your soul back there on that rear spoiler. Probably one of the best to ever get around this racetrack.
The Intimidator, right? The
That's
Intimidator.
Right.
Speaking of the Intimidator, we got a trivia question. I'm curious if anybody knows the answer to this in the chat. Seems like a good time to bring it up. Who are the only father and son to finish 1-2 in the Daytona 500? Who are the only father and son duo to finish first and second together in the Daytona 500? Let us know in the chat right now if you think you know the answer to that question. Who do you think it is? Let's see some answers. We'll talk about what the correct answer here is shortly. Drivers still 2x2. We haven't seen a lot of 3-wide racing. We saw Scotty Sobczak get shuffled back. He's now running in the 11th position. Saw that happen a little bit earlier. Chris, I'm starting to see a little bit of space open up between these drivers right now. As soon as I say that, of course, they pull it back together, but I am seeing a little bit of space, especially further back in the field. Drivers giving each other ample volume between the bumpers of their cars.
Yeah, we'll go back here and take a look back here in the field. You got Jacob Chase back here, Matt Scherf just ahead of him. We got Tony Caputo right here running in 20th. Nick Lucci in the 21st spot. Paul Thomas 22nd. I think these guys back here, they're just in ride mode. Patrick
Easy
Colby.
rider.
I'm sorry, Patrick O'Toole, Cordell Lofgren, Lee Campbell, Nick DeCesare, Chase Berry, Ryan Hinkle. These guys are all just kind of riding back there, just waiting for the wreck to happen.
And I honestly, when we super speedway raced together up until the very last one that we did, Chris, I felt like that was normally our strategy, is to just try to ride easy most of the time until kind of the second half of the race. And you are seeing it right outside of the first probably 8 rows. They go single file. That's the position I want to be in right now. Single file between myself and everyone around me, especially at Daytona in these trucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Couple answers. Go ahead.
To say absolutely, yeah. I think there's a lot to be said for one strategy or the other, and for some people it works better for them to think about racing, from the back and just trying to dodge that big wreck, whereas other people, they're just more geared towards they just want to go out there and race and have fun.
Yeah, see, when I go out there and race and have fun, I'm usually the cause of it. So, hey, we got a couple of answers in the chat. We heard the wall trips. We heard Bobby and Davey Allison. No one fell for my trick. I thought that when we showed Dale Earnhardt's face on the back of the truck of Evan Pienta, I thought when I transitioned and then that question, people were going to think it was the Earnhardts. It wasn't. Who was it, Chris?
It was Bobby and Davey Allison.
And the year was 1988. Our resident historian, Don Hilbrans, has the correct answer for that. So thank you, Don. Absolutely. The Allison father and son duo of Bobby and Davey. And you said Davey, I believe, won the year after that, correct?
It was either the year after that or it was somewhere in that range of like either the next year or the year after that. But yeah, it was a pretty cool story at the time when it happened.
We were 2 young whippersnappers when that happened. But, hey, these guys out here, they're all racing like they're young whippersnappers right now. Business picking up in the front just a little bit. The pushing has resumed. Jacob Bradley pushing Justin Wilson out to the lead. Evan Pienta a little bit more hesitant to get up to the back bumper of Jay Leach, his teammate, up in front of him. But as soon as we say that inside line gets a little bit of momentum. Chris Pierce still kind of lurks back there in the 5th position. 3rd car or truck on the inside. Aaron Smith, Chris, he had a rough week. A lot of drivers had rough weeks at Dover last week, but Aaron Smith, I swear, has to get the award for probably being in the most crashes last week at Dover.
Yeah, it was one of those rare instances where all the stars and the moon aligned, and Aaron Smith looked almost human. It wasn't
almost human.
Almost human, yeah. Like, it wasn't because of he was slow or or anything like that. It was just bad luck, and sometimes that happens.
Yeah, he got loose on the inside of Jacob Bradley going for the lead off of turn 2 at one point during the race, and spun it down onto the backstretch wall, recovered, but then got involved in another crash not of his own making. So a couple of other cars keep an eye on right now. Take a look at James Danforth in that 88 paint scheme. Hey, he won the paint scheme contest that we did earlier a couple of weeks ago for the best Evan Pienta Designs paint job in that number 88 Napa Auto Parts. It sounds weird, Ford F-150, but that's a good-looking paint scheme that driver 88 is racing tonight. He's shown a lot of speed. Tonight could be a night where driver 88, James Danforth, we might see him in victory lane towards the end of the night. He is an apt super speedway racer right now, just biding his time behind Patrick Colby in the number 9. But yeah, James Danforth, been a great see him racing all season, and that driver out of Maine. I wonder what the weather's like up in Maine right now. Anyone near Maine? How's the weather up in the New England area? I know our race controller Sam Maxwell said it was warmer up in New England than it usually is this time of the year, but more like Florida weather up there maybe right now.
I'll trade with them because it's been unseasonably cold the past couple of days down here in Alabama.
Same here. We took the kids on a field trip this morning, and it was outdoors, and they were not happy with it. But they ended up having a good time. So it was definitely cold, but it's hot on the track right now. Lap 24, Chris, of 60. Dare I say this race is moving fast. Knock on wood. Everybody, if you're home, you got a block of wood around you, go ahead and knock on it, knock on your table. Top 5 has really remained stationary. We haven't seen a lot of movement up at the front. One of the drivers I've seen going up and back and forth throughout the field is Jay Leach. I'm not sure if he can make up his mind. Not Jay Leach, Jay Haishman in the number 06, back in 13th position now. The golf ball mobile, as we like to call it. Jay Leach having a good run. He ran our Super Speedway League. He's a driver who can get around the big tracks. He can get around all tracks, but lots of speed here tonight in that 06. He's kind of, I've seen him run single file towards the back about 10 laps ago. He's kind of figuring out where he wants to be. We're getting close to a pit stop, Chris, here. I think anywhere between the next 5 to 7 laps, we should start to see drivers hitting pit road. And I'm curious because right now, we said we don't think it'll go green the entire time, but have these drivers like Jay Haishman, James Danforth, and also the guys up the lead like Wilson and Bradley and Leach, have they started to think about trying to make it to lap 30 in case this does go green?
I think it's definitely on their mind. I definitely do think it's on their mind, and I think that maybe that's why we saw that fuel saving possibly go on at the beginning of the race. Yeah, I don't know. It's always really hard to tell because you don't know how much people are off the throttle in the pack. It's just really hard to tell. I think Aaron Smith has been saving a lot of fuel here. I've seen him way off the back bumper of Chris Pierce several times, so I think he is saving quite a bit as well.
There's a lot more checking up going on. You kind of see it how the front of the field is starting to get spaced out just a little bit. Occasionally, you start to see gaps. Jay Leach lifts out of the throttle a little bit there to pick up the 55 of Evan Pienta, or to save a little bit of fuel, or maybe a little bit of both there as they head down into turn 3 right now. I think we're a couple of laps away from pit stops here. Lap 27 almost in the books of 60, so getting ready to hit the halfway point. Chris, Connor said it was 60 degrees in Maine. I think that beats what we've got right now in the southeast.
Definitely. It definitely does. You can't say that often. So Justin Wilson and Jacob Bradley just made a move to the inside right here.
I think that's a tell for sure.
Yeah, and, I was about to bring up, these payday guys are trapped up on the top, and I wonder if Justin Wilson's going to drag the brake a little bit here and maybe let these guys... Yep, I think that's exactly what's happening maybe here. I think he's going to let both these guys in front of him.
Yep, we got probably what it will at least be a 4-car.
Oh!
Very close contact. Almost gone awry there. Rapp gets into the back bumper of Bradley, or Bechtel, I should say. Is this going to be the lap? I don't think we're going to see it this lap. That might have been the get ready to go lap, as right now we cross on to lap 29 of 60 here on the Apex Energy 150. Regular season finale here at Daytona for the Apex Energy Truck Series, presented by Hank Thomas Performance. They're getting ready to come and get some Hank Thomas Performance Sunoco race fuel to get them the rest of the way, Chris. Those 4 payday cars lined up on the inside. Now we see Scott Tompkins and Sean Johnson also say, we kind of want in here too. Almost 3 wide. Rapp has to go down to the bottom of the track. He jumps back up onto the apron. Not sure, Chris, what happened with Johnny Rapp in the 52 there as they wind their way through turn number 4. No one seems to be pitting. Jay Haishman's going to be the lone car that comes down pit road, pitting all the way from 13th position in that 06. What's going on with the 52 right now?
I think that all started with the 32 of Sean Johnson cutting across the nose of Randy Bechtel. I don't think he was clear because Randy had to go beneath the yellow line and get out of the gas, and that created just a stack-up effect. And unfortunately, I think it was just a really, really bad situation where they just all ran out of room.
And Johnny, being the gentleman he went down to the apron instead of causing more problems for everyone. So kind of a heads-up move by the 52 after a bit of a block or a move to the inside gone wrong. We are hitting lap 30 now. No one's moving to the pit, so I think these drivers might be treating this like they expect a potential green flag run the rest of the way as we watch Patrick Colby assume the lead in that number 9 Alabama Crimson Tide truck. He's got his teammate Aaron Smith behind him. First time Patrick Colby's led all night, Chris. He started 22nd. He has made up a lot of speed, or made up a lot of spots on the track. James Danforth in the 88, the only truck who's made up more. He's made up, actually they both made up 21 positions. When he moved up to second, he had made up 23 positions, but 21 positions for both of those drivers right now as we ride on board the rear bumper of Patrick Colby, all but giving a tattoo to the back bumper of that 9 is Aaron Smith in the 70. Another lap, no takers on pit road, Chris. They've stretched this. You mentioned fuel saving earlier in the race. It's looking like they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, and another driver we want to give a shout out to, as he goes up the track a little bit here, is Patrick Piper right here. In that 38 truck, he has given a really good push to James Danforth.
In that get well soon mom scheme. So we mentioned Ingrid earlier in the broadcast. Patrick doing a good job of repping that paint scheme tonight.
He definitely is, and he's made up a lot of spots too.
Yeah, Patrick Piper up 18 positions on the evening. Really, actually 13 positions on the evening. Great work for the driver, that number 38 so far. Here we go, pit stops. Couple of payday drivers. All payday drivers are in at this point.
Tompkins. I think he made it.
Cooked it. That was close. That right front tire is going to be screaming. Everyone, including drivers like Jacob Chase, the number 4, Matt Scherf, also make it in. Cordell Lofgren, Paul Tompkins. Paul Thomas. We made it in without incident there. So everyone right now on this first cycle of pit stops does a good job. Now the key, Chris, everyone's got to get off together. You can't afford to lose time on pit road, especially those payday drivers. They're going to be working together. Not seeing any stragglers right now. I'm looking at Scherf and Ryan Hinkle. They're probably going to try to catch the 32 of Sean Johnson, who might let him get closer by breathing the throttle, but Randy Bechtel wins the race off pit road amongst this pack. Tompkins second, Wilson third. Now, the rest of the field's on pit road, Chris. Everyone makes it down cleanly. That was a big, big group of cars, about twice the size of what we saw last time coming down pit road, led by Aaron Smith in the number 70. So if we're looking at numbers, Chris, this second pack is a larger pack. And what we know is that larger packs with more cars tend to have a little bit more speed and horsepower pushing them. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. That first pack that pitted is going to be winding turn 3 right now. These drivers are going to be in a rush to get off pit road, but I encourage them, get lined up, work together, don't spend a lot of time racing each other off pit road.
Yeah, and we're going to see how this all shakes out right here. Sometimes with more trucks, it kind of slows you down on pit road entry because you got to get jammed up a little bit more. So I don't think that we're going to see.
Here they come.
I don't think we're going to see.
Here they come.
Yeah, they're definitely going to overtake, but they're going to blend in. They're all going to blend together.
This track is blocked massively. If you're Randy Bechtel and Scott Tompkins, you got to be screaming, man, we can't find our way through. Almost contact. Blassie in the 15 still getting up to speed. They split him and Matt Coots. Randy Bechtel leads that charge up the middle amongst the first group of trucks to make a pit stop on this cycle, and you nailed it, Chris. They blended in, but Aaron Smith, Patrick Colby, Evan Pienta, Dustin Scruggs in the 11 up in the top 6 for the first time tonight. Chris, the intensity has not let off. Often we talk about 2 packs developing after pit stops. Not really seeing that here. We've got at least 12 to 15 cars right now in this lead pack.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Dustin Scruggs, Matt Kuntz, along with Chris Blassie, those three drivers were off of the main pack, and I think that they're a lap down now. But yeah, it's good to see Dustin Scruggs out here on the track again. We do have some groups that are straggling behind just a little bit, and we'll try to update those. I know Scotty Sobzak, I don't know if he didn't have the pit stop he didn't want to have, but he is way off of the main pack. We got Chris Pierce as well here, one of our bubble drivers, and he is off the pack as well.
So big championship implications, potentially Wesley Pistol back there, Chris, in 19th. Several drivers looking to race their way into the chase for the championship. You'll see those drivers highlighted in Apex Energy blue on the left. And you can kind of see where they are through the fact. Nick Lucci, Chris, up into the top 10 for the first time as well. I know we've got some Nick Lucci fans 3 wide for the first time tonight. It's Bechtel making a charge to the outside. Evan Pienta, that blue and black car in the middle. And Aaron Smith, the bright 70, Hank Thomas Performance Silverado on the inside. 3 wide for the first time tonight, and that tri-oval, a push to the back of the 55 comes from Aaron Smith. Evan hangs on to it. Chris, this is when things start to get dicey. 3 wide for the first time tonight. You can tell we're entering into the final third of the race. That top line has to check up. Justin Wilson gets out of the throttle. This is where drivers are going to have to be the most careful. Right now, still 3 wide. Josh Ward, Chris, doing a good job. He picked up a couple of wins early this season, struggled a little bit as of late, but he locked himself into the championship with a great performance the first half of the regular season. So he's able to go out there without as much pressure tonight, but he still is going to want to finish up in the top 10, get as many points as possible to set himself up into that 5-race playoff run. We've got starting next week at Rockingham. It's all Aaron Smith. He's your leader in the number 70. Patrick Colby pushes his teammate out to the front on the outside. But Evan Pienta right now, he's in the inside. But Chris, I'm noticing Jamie Leach all the way back in 13th. He's one of those drivers you mentioned needed to be up front, running up front as much as possible. We got a car ducking off the backstretch. I'm not sure what happened to Matt Kuntz. Runs through the grass there. I'm not sure if he was just looking for a little bit of off-road excitement. Maybe wanted to duck out of this pack, especially considering he is a lap down, and maybe let these guys settle it out, and maybe let them wreck without being involved and get a lap back. But yeah, I'm not sure. Did he get knocked out of shape by the 15?
Yeah, a little bit of contact. A little bit of an it wasn't quite square. It was not a square bump, and that will upset these trucks if you don't bump them square.
We talked about that in pre-race, the importance of knowing where you can hit a truck. And I know that sounds a little funny. These drivers should just be beating and banging. That's bump drafting. You got to line it up. If you hit one of these drivers, if you've ever been in one of these rigs, when it's moving around or it's shaking, if you take a shot to the back, these cars and these trucks get out of shape. And these drivers, you saw Matt Kuntz feeling get the effect there. Don Hilburn's in the chat saying, go big or go home. Connor, you also asked a question about throwback racing. We are going to be running throwback paint schemes at Darlington in a couple of weeks, so catch that. I believe it's race number 3 of the playoffs here in a few weeks. Drivers will be running throwback paint schemes. So right now, no one's wanting to throw back anything. Everyone wants to be up at the front and as fast as possible. Patrick Colby leads the charge on the outside in the number 9. That driver originally from Alabama, or from New Hampshire by the way of Alabama, and he's got a Alabama Crimson Tide scheme on that truck. Josh Ward doing a really good job. We mentioned that driver earlier, who started off with an incredible start to the season, won 2 out of the first 5 races of the season. That driver out of Boone, North Carolina, carrying the Lando Norris kart colors, and what's kind of become an iconic paint scheme that we associate with Josh Ward in Slingshot Racing League. Randy Bechtel, Chris, he's been up there, but I don't think he's led all night long in that number 51. We've seen Randy, if there's a wreck on the track that Randy can get involved in that is not of his own making, I feel like he's one of those guys that's a magnet for that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of times it's never of his doing either. It seems like he's often just an innocent bystander in them, as he's going to go 3 wide up the middle on Josh Ward.
As soon as I said it,
Oh.
they split Josh Ward to the outside, and he's got no help. That outside line has to check up immensely. Josh Ward, the blue and yellow car on the outside, looking for a hole, but he's not going to find it for at least 4 or 5 cars back as Patrick Colby pushes Aaron Smith further out to the lead. Josh Ward, how much impact does side draft have as we watch Josh Ward get a little bit close to the left side or the right side of that 25 of Scott Tompkins?
It's not huge in these trucks with the current draft model. The next-gen Cup cars have a huge side draft aero element to them. And yeah, they have, it is very noticeable in them. It is a little bit in these as well, but it's not as extreme.
Speaking of extreme, Evan Pienta made an extreme move to the back of the pack, Chris, and I think I know why. He has got his teammate back there, Jay Leach. I think he also sees 3 wide racing going on. Josh Ward, with the help of Justin Wilson, makes his way back up to the top on the front row with 3 drivers. Ward takes it 3 wide on the top there, and these drivers, they're starting to move around, Chris. The pushing is picking up, and I think Evan Pienta saw that and said, "Let's take a break from this. I don't mind sitting back for a couple of laps." Dustin Scruggs, who's a lap down car, Chris, out front, he is on the inside taking a shot from Patrick Piper, currently running in 7th position, but Aaron Smith's going to make his move by. Dustin Scruggs second. How long are you patient with a lap car out there in front of you if you're trying to race into the playoffs here? Josh Ward a little loose there, by the way.
Yeah, I've noticed Josh Ward a little bit sideways a couple times from the front bumper of Justin Wilson. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit frustrating, honestly, at times, but I think that also you got to keep in mind what they're racing for, and they want to get back on the lead lap. I mean, if you look 2 trucks back, that's Chris Blassie. That's the lucky dog spot. So
as they come up on the number 4, Matt Scherf here, they're going to have to get out of the throttle. They catch him in a good spot. The number 4 of Scherf, I know we got Kathy watching, gets out of the throttle, lets the drivers pass on the back straightaway. He's to the inside, but almost 4 wide there for a second. I thought Randy Bechtel might make the move. He thinks wiser of it, Chris. Patrick Colby loses the help. He's now to the middle, but he's got Bechtel who pulls up to the back bumper. That inside line definitely has the momentum, but as soon as I say that, there's the outside of Josh Ward getting a push and ahead of steam from the number 58 of Justin Wilson. This is going to get crazy, Chris. We've got about 16 laps left here from Daytona in the Apex Energy 150. The intensity is not let off as Josh Ward makes a move to cut off the number 9, slides into the middle in that first row, and it is side by side for the lead. Ward and Aaron Jones are only 2-time winners this season, Chris, doing a real good job. Watch out, because there's Justin Wilson, Jacob Bradley, and Sean Johnson to the outside. They're 3 by 3 by 3, the first 9 positions. But don't forget, Chris Blassie, he's back there. He's a lap down. Chris, you mentioned it. He's also trying to work his way into the lucky dog position in case we are to get a caution. He wants to be there because if you get back on the lead lap, it's anyone's game at that point.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that you saw that aggressive move Josh Ward made to get from the high lane to the middle lane. I think that he was really, really, really not comfortable up there in the top getting pushed by Justin Wilson. Saw that truck sideways a number of times. Yeah, I saw a body panel fly off in the tri-oval as well, and if you look at the rear bumper of that 92, it's missing on my end. I don't know if it's missing on your end, Ellis, but...
Yeah, no, it is missing, and that back spoiler is a little bit crinkled up on the 92 of Josh Ward. You are correct. I think he took a big old shot there. Maybe got ripped off by just a second ago, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, they're not afraid. I mean, it's gone, and Patrick Colby here is still hitting him. They're not afraid.
Yeah, they are not afraid, especially if you're looking at some of these drivers with not as big a stakes. And that's the danger. I just saw it happen there with Sean Johnson. A car on the outside gets a little bit loose, gets squirrely. Randy Bechtel does a veteran's work of getting out of the throttle and letting Sean collect it rather than trying to duck to the inside. That's a show of experience, Chris. That's a show of patience, even with just 14 laps left. Randy Bechtel's willing to take the L, drop back at least 8 positions, not to cause a crash, and that's what it's all about. We talk every week about these drivers taking care of each other, and even at Daytona, we've seen so much of that tonight. Dustin Scruggs gets a push from Patrick. Oh, Aaron Smith loose with a shot from Justin Wilson. He hangs on to it, boards in the wall. He collects Tompkins. It looks like Scherf's involved as well. Sean Johnson's going to make it through, Chris. We are still green flag racing.
Oh, no.
Scherf comes back up onto the track. It's James Danforth. The 88's not going to be happy about that. That is going to bring out a caution.
Man, a lot was happening there.
There was a lot happening, and we saw that 4 truck get out of shape. We'll jump back to the scene of the crime here, and it looks like, Chris, you mentioned it, Patrick Colby had been given big shoves to the 92 of Josh Ward, and we kind of saw it go wrong right there at the exit of the tri-oval. Ward gets in the wall. That collects a couple of drivers, including Tompkins. Scherf might have had wheel damage. He tries to get it back going on the track. James Danforth just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I know what that is like to have a damaged car and just, again, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, we'll actually we'll watch this again from this perspective. Yeah, Matt Scherf gets just sideways right here. He gets knocked down there, hits the inside wall. And the problem is that the caution has not come out. Oh, and Scott Tompkins, one of our bubble drivers,
gets damage from the 4.
Yeah, he gets more damage than I originally thought. I don't know if he actually made a lot of contact there, but man, that is a tough break right there. It's a huge break for some of these guys who had lost the pack, including Wesley Pistol. But man, that's a tough break for Scott there.
Sean Johnson barely missed the number 25 of Scott Tompkins there. Almost got collected in that. That was a close one for the 32 of Sean Johnson. Yeah, riding on board the 25 of Scott Tompkins. You're going to see that was, that was close. That was absolutely close. Not going to sure if you're going to see it from the onboard of the 32, but you're going to see the contact for sure.
Oh,
but
yeah,
he almost got nailed. Almost got nailed by the 25 who was in the process of spinning. So that's going to bring out a caution with just 10 laps left. We made it all the way to lap 50 without a caution. You can't really ask for much more than that. And intensity picks up at Daytona. That is super speedway racing. That is a reality of super speedway racing, Chris. But a reality of running a league is we've got to have sponsors, and we got to show sponsors ads to pay the bills. First sponsor we're going to hear from tonight is Apex Energy. They're getting ready for a relaunch of their product. They're going to have new flavors in the next month or so. We're going to be talking about that later on in the season. But right now, we'll go ahead and hear from them. Check them out on social media as well. We'll be back on the other end of this commercial break to reset it for the final shootout to determine the top 12 drivers to make it into the chase.
Hank Thomas Performance is a Sunoco race fuel master distributor located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Our territory covers North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, as well as the Panhandle of Florida, providing quality Sunoco race fuel to many track and dealers throughout the region. In addition to Sunoco race fuel, Hank Thomas Performance distributes high-quality methanol and at-track supplies, as well as miscellaneous gas containers and everyday products that the at-track racer wants and needs as they compete at their local asphalt and dirt ovals, plus drag strips. You can reach us at 800-848-HANK, or if you're in our area, come out and visit us at the shop.
All right, we are back here at Daytona getting ready for a restart that's going to see 9 laps left here. You just heard from Hank Thomas Performance, Sunoco Race Fuels. These drivers are good to go on gas. This is just going to be a shootout. On the left, you're going to see the drivers on the bubble who are looking to race their way in to the championship chase over the final 5 races of the season. They're highlighted in blue. Right now, Jamie Leach, Scott Tompkins sitting in a really good position. Tompkins, I think, might have gotten that damage repaired, Chris, or not come into the pits at all. Wesley Pistol also making up some ground, looking to solidify his spot in. The drivers that I'm looking at that are in trouble right now, Evan Pienta sitting 18th, Chris Pierce 14th. We're going to see how it shakes out here in a little bit, but back up at the front, it's Aaron Smith the second, Patrick Piper second, Justin Wilson third, Jay Leach, Chris. He wants to go out there and win this thing and make the way into the playoffs with a win. I can't imagine a better result for Jamie Leach tonight in the 22. They're rounding turn 4. We're going to be coming to get 9 to go. Biggest question is, are they going to make it without another yellow, without another crash? We just saw a wreck. I don't know if I would qualify it as the big one, but we saw it. It was a crash. It brought out the caution. Right now, pace car peels off. Aaron Smith, the control car, he's going to hit the throttle in that Geico restart zone right at the end. We're back underway here. 9 laps left in Daytona. Smith is your leader. The 38 of Piper doesn't quite get going with the help from Leach. He's going to jump up top. Now he starts to get a bump, but Aaron Smith has Wilson and Bradley behind him. Everyone moves up to the top, Chris. I'm a little bit surprised to see this. Patrick Piper, the first car to jump down there on the inside. Is anyone going to follow suit? Are they going to be content to stay on that second lane to the outside? Patrick Colby draws up to the back bumper of Patrick Piper. It's the Patrick and Patrick show on the inside. They've got some work to do down into turn 3 if they're going to make up on the ground on the yellow and purple cars of Smith and Wilson, as well as Bradley behind them. They start to draw even. Piper to the right side, or to the left side, I should say, of the 58 of Justin Wilson. They are near even side by side. This is a 2-lane race, almost 2 wide, at least 6 to 7 rows back. Just 8 laps left to settle this, to settle who's going to make it into the chase for the championship and who's going to be left looking out. I'm Ellis Thomas, joined in the booth by Chris Smith for Slingshot Racing League. Aaron Smith is your leader. So many cars, Chris, in this field still have a shot to win. With the holes these trucks punch in the air, you can go from 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th to the lead in a matter of 3-4 laps. So there is still plenty of time, even for these drivers in the back. And that's when it starts to get dangerous a little bit. As we saw Justin Wilson right up on the back bumper of that 70 of Aaron Smith, it is going to get even crazier. Sean Johnson joins the fray, third car to the inside. Chris, Wesley Pistol. It's the first time I've seen the 94 truck up there all night. Pistol finally essentially pulls off the tape. He hits the to-go button, and he's up to 8th position there, that 4th car on the inside row, the orange and white Tennessee Volunteers colors. It's go time for Pistol, he's one of those bubble drivers looking to hold his spot in the playoffs and not give it up to one of those 2 cars underneath the cut line. Coming to 6 to go here in just about half a lap, Chris. Business is picking up. If you're in the chat, let us know. Do you think it's going to be Pistol who's going to win? Do you think it's going to be Smith? Patrick Piper claims the outright lead here on lap number 54. Chase Berry out of the throttle on the outside. He's jumping to the back of the pack, maybe not liking what he's seeing, Chris, but it's getting insane up front.
Yeah, it is, and you brought up Wesley Pistol. That caution was a huge break for him because his pack had come off of pit road outside of the main pack, outside of the draft, and I don't think he was going to be able to gain any more positions if they went green to the end. So, yeah, that was a big break for him as we got Patrick Colby going for the lead.
Oh, 3 wide. Justin Wilson takes his payday teammate, Jacob Bradley. Does Colby try to make the block? He can't cut it off. Aaron Smith lets off the throttle. Good teamwork there. Smith lets Colby back in after Colby thought better of making the block on Justin Wilson. Chris, another veteran move, heads up move.
No.
Oh, Colby connects with the front bumper. Patrick Piper, he's off the throttle. He's down sideways on the front straightaway. Everyone else hangs on to it. Chase Berry in the 46 is loose. He continues to trudge forward. We are still green. Just 5 laps left here at Daytona. Patrick Colby, the lone victim of that number 55 spin off the front bumper of Jamie Leach. That was a close one.
Yeah, I think that Aaron Smith just in the back bumper of Patrick Colby right there just got him loose, and it turned him right around, to the inside right
Chase
there.
Berry, Patrick Piper collects Sean Johnson. Scotty Sobczak, Wesley Pistol's in it. He's a bubble driver. Several drivers under yellow now here on lap 56 of 60. We are under caution. Wesley Pistol and Sean Johnson, 2 of the cars collected, as well as Scotty Sobczak, Chris. That was a couple of laps in the making. Scherf involved, and that slides into that one as well. We're going to return to the scene of the crime and see how that whole wreck came to fruition and where it got started. I looked like it might have been a bad push from Patrick Piper on Sean Johnson. Chase Berry kind of forced his way into a hole that might not have been fully there, Chris.
I mean, I think it's there. Like, if we look head on right here, I personally feel like the hole is there. What I think happens is that I don't think Patrick Piper realized the hole had closed the way it did. I don't think that he realized. I'm trying to get a good angle, but I just can't.
And
find
he
one.
wanted to stay with the 32 as well. I think he follows the line of the 32 up the track, and that hole kind of closed up in a big old hurry. So again, this is super speedway racing with just 4 laps to go. Chase Berry's trying to make a move towards the front. Patrick Piper is trying to hang on to it. And Connor Lyons in the chat says this is overtime. And I think he's absolutely right. We're going to see a green-white checkered here. And this is going to determine the fate of a lot of drivers, Chris. Wesley Pistol, we saw involved in that. He's just going to be looking to coast around. I see him come into the pits right now. Potentially, he's lost his entire front nose. Yeah, so that's not good news if you're Wesley Pistol. He needed as many points, and he's back in 24th position right now.
It's not good news, but don't freak out yet. There's a lot that can happen at Daytona. There's a lot more crashing that could go on. We'll actually ride on board with Wesley right here, and you can see what happened in front of him. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on right there. But yeah, it started with. We'll actually see if we can maybe go back here. So here is from Chase Berry's perspective, just to show you like where this kind of all started. Chase Berry goes up the middle right here. I feel like there's a hole here, but I feel like the hole just closed up after he was already in it. And unfortunately, Scotty Sobczak, Wesley Pistol, Matt Scherf,
Sean Johnson as well in 32.
Yeah. I think Chris Pierce, I was going to bring him up as well. I think he got away with one. We'll actually go roll it back here, and so you can see that Apex Energy Toyota. He makes a really nice. He gets down here in the grass, and Wesley Pistol is looking like he's going to be spinning back, and he makes a hard right, then a hard left, and he just kind of slides it on the apron right there, and got away with no contact.
That is a really good job. You can see him sliding through the grass. Almost hits the debris off the front end of Wesley Pistol sideways, hangs on to it. What dirt racing there for a minute.
Yep.
Driver that number 65 Apex Energy Toyota truck. Really good work. Really good replay work tonight, Chris. Good job on the replays. Good job tonight in the booth. Good job to a couple other drivers right now. Again, we mentioned Patrick Piper having a good night all along. Jay Leach, he's a bubble driver, Chris. He is racing his guts out tonight. Hey, Paul Thomas sitting there in 8th position. He says, I hate it when you talk about me because every time I talk about him, apparently he gets involved in a wreck shortly after. So let's see if that holds true tonight.
Oh, no.
Evan Pienta, Chris, Jay Leach and Evan Pienta, we've seen them working together a lot tonight. Pienta, the driver out of Michigan, Ohio. Not Michigan, Ohio. Jay Leach, the driver out of Ohio. So some Midwesterners working together tonight. Hopefully, I think they're thinking they're going to probably try to work together these last couple of laps. Payday Racing, people talk about the really great teamwork that they have running 1, 2, 3 right now, but that could be broken up. That doesn't always work out at super speedways. It helps, right, as the drivers line up here to take the one to go. It is going to be a green-white checkered shootout for the win tonight, but man, we got so many cars. If you're on the lead lap at this point, you can win this race. One other thing I want to say to our fans watching right now, last chance to get in. We're going to give away that Ricky Stenhouse diecast 1/64th scale to a lucky fan. Just say hi in the chat. Let us know who you think's going to win this race as we get ready for this shootout. And hey, if you haven't hit the thumbs up button right underneath the video, hit it real quick. If you're on your phone, if you're on your computer, it doesn't really cost you anything at all. It helps us. If you are watching, you like what you're seeing, you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. Also, one other thing I notice a lot, hit that notification button as well, because you'll get notified anytime our races go live. Help you. I've got a bad memory. You might forget. Hitting that notification bell could help you know exactly when we go live. We've got another series starting tomorrow night on Wednesdays in sports cars that you're not going to want to miss either. So click the notification bell, subscribe to make sure you're able to see those races. Chris, I don't know what's going to happen here over the next 2 laps, but I know that Justin Wilson is the control car. He's got Jacob Bradley to his outside. Payday Racing teammate Randy Bechtel to the inside of row 2. Aaron Smith outside of row 2. Scott Tompkins, Chris, we saw him come up in the closest Slingshot Racing League finish ever at Talladega. Came up about a knuckle short of winning the race against Josh Ward. We're about to find out how this is going to settle out now. Don't count out Jamie Leach either. Pace car is getting ready to peel off. This is going to get exciting. Justin Wilson is going to be in charge of hitting that throttle. Randy Bechtel gives him a shove, Chris. I can't help but think that might have been coordinated a little bit to get the 58 going. Right now, Jacob Bradley's the lone car on the outside. He gets hung out. Oh, Scott Tompkins goes to the inside underneath Bechtel. He's got Aaron Smith, Chris. Justin Wilson makes the move to the inside to head off the number 25 and 70 as well as the 38 of Piper. He goes back up to pick up his teammate Randy Bechtel side by side down the back straightaway. It's Tompkins in the white, Justin Wilson in the purple to the outside. Lap and a half away from the finish here. Spinning down the backstretch, Cordell Lofgren in another truck. Not sure who that is. I'm not sure if we're going to make it back to the white flag. If we make it back to the white without a caution, we will finish under green the next lap. They're going to race their way down the front straightaway, still side by side. It's Wilson, Tompkins, Bechtel, and Smith. Smith, that yellow car, second on the inside. Patrick Piper right behind him. Evan Pienta, fourth car on the inside. Wilson gets ahead of steam from Randy Bechtel. He jumps out to a lead on the outside. Tompkins on the inside. He gets a push from Aaron Smith. It's anyone's game. It's going to come down to who gets the best push at the end. Oh. Justin Wilson sideways. How did he hang on to it? Bechtel continues to push. He is relentlessly pushing the 58 down into turn 3. Aaron Smith pushes Scott Tompkins to a clear lead. Patrick Piper to third. That outside line has some work to do. Tompkins is going to have to cut it off if he's going to win this race. There comes Wilson to the outside. He's not going to be able to do it. Tompkins wins at Daytona. Wilson second. Aaron Smith third. Wow, that was a great race. Tompkins, who came up a knuckle short, comes up on the other side with a victory here at Daytona after falling short at Talladega. He is the winner of the Apex Energy 150. We've got some work to do on the points here in a moment. But Tompkins, Chris, I think it's fair to say he locked his way into the chase. Pienta, I think, is in a good position. The driver I'm going to be really curious about is going to be Jay Leach as well as Wesley Pistol. We're going to do our best to bring those points updates to you here momentarily, but we're going to try to hear from the winner at second and third also as we're working on that. So give us just a moment. We're going to interview our third place finisher, Aaron Smith, first, let's get him into the booth here. I've been brought water. That sound like I needed, I guess.
Needed, right?
Well needed. We're still working with a sore throat from some illness about a week and a half ago too, so I'm sure my throat really appreciates that. But Aaron Smith, man, you Scott Tompkins has to appreciate you right now for the pushing you did on that inside line, my friend. Whale of a job. I know it's not a win that you would want, but you wound up third. You're in a good position to continue to lead into the chase for championship starting next week at Rockingham. First of all, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to have won the regular season championship. At least I think I have it. And I think I've
you
been
have.
well
You
enough
locked
to
it up
clinch
for sure.
But yeah, it looked like the Payday guys had it under control there in that last restart, and Justin got loose in the backstretch. I'm not sure what happened to him, but I was able to get Tompkins out ahead and got him just far out enough to compensate for the run they got out of turn 4. So I'm glad I was able to help him out with that, and I'm glad we were able to make it home clean. I almost wadded up the field there. I think I had a hand in that last caution, but I was able to keep my truck clean and brought it home third.
Man, well, they say rubbing is racing at Daytona. Nothing is truer than that. Let's talk about tonight. 2 cautions over the course of the entire race. We went to lap 50, really to the final 10 laps of the race without a caution. What kind of respect did you observe from drivers out there tonight at such a high intensity racetrack?
Yeah, everyone was pretty careful there in the first 50 laps. We were just hanging out 2 by 2, and once the third lane started to open up, it did become a little bit more nerve-wracking there to run in the middle and bottom lanes, but everyone kept their noses clean for the most part, and we had a really good race. I'm glad we were able to run that much green and get a green flag run in.
Yeah, man. Well, next week, you've solidified your spot in the chase. Next week, you're headed into Rockingham. That's going to be the kickoff race for inaugural chase for the championship for Slingshot Racing League. What do you expect to see at Rockingham, just from yourself personally? What's your experience and comfort level like there?
I've never really liked Rockingham, to be honest with you. I've never had that much success there. The only reason why I won there last time we raced there was because the leader got wrecked. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it'll play out. But if I can get through that clean, I should have a pretty solid shot at the championship.
Man, you did a great job tonight. You're going to be our points leader and our championship leader headed into the chase for the championship. Before we let you go celebrate that podium finish, you got any shout-outs?
Yeah, I'd like to thank y'all for putting these races on, these broadcasts on, and all the sponsors for supporting the league and all that, and looking forward to getting back at it next week.
Awesome, man. Aaron Smith, third place finisher tonight here in the Apex Energy 150 at Daytona. Congratulations. Well, let's go celebrate that third finish.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, so now we're going to hear from Justin Wilson, your second place finisher. We'll bring him into the booth. Chris, we'll let you handle this one if I can find Justin Wilson. There he is. All right, he's in here.
Justin Wilson, our second place finisher tonight. This is Slingshot booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Man, it seemed like this was like a tale of 2 races. Before the pit stop and after the pit stop, it seemed like that intensity just ramped up. Did it seem like the respect was out there tonight and everybody was kind of looking after each other for a while there?
Yeah, for most guys, yeah, it was pretty calm, and then I'm pretty sure I'm probably root cause of it getting a little chaotic because I got tired of waiting back there when about 20 to go, and I said, all right, I'm going to the top. So, but all in all, I mean, we did a fantastic job running 3 wide as long as we did. We only had 2 cautions, 1 caution, I don't remember.
2. Final
2
10
cautions.
laps.
Yeah, man, and it was, I mean, the racing was phenomenal. I felt like I almost got wrecked probably at least 6 or 7 times from aggressively trying to get to the front, but you know what? I'm happy with the second. I'm glad Scott won.
Yeah, man, you were on it. You definitely were putting on a show there, going up to that top lane, making it 3 wide. Like I said, it was definitely entertaining to watch that. We saw you get a little bit loose on the backstretch there. I don't know if it was a push gone wrong. We were kind of looking at you head on right there, but did that maybe hurt you? Coming to the line right there. Do you think maybe if that wouldn't have happened, that you might have had a shot?
Oh yeah, me and Randy, we were in the money seat because we would have got the run off of 4. The problem was I think either I moved just a hair, he moved just a hair, and it just started hooking me to the wall, and I had to just rip it back to the left, and him obviously having to check up so he didn't cause a pile up. So kind of killed the run, but we were able to charge back up there and get beside Scott. I mean, we really didn't have a shot. So, but I mean, still good racing. That was good pushing from all of us, Jacob, Randy, the whole team. I mean, surviving Daytona is just a miracle in itself.
It really is. It really is. And next week we go to a track, Rockingham, that I seem to remember you having a lights out performance at in one of our '87 series. I think it was actually our very first season. Are you looking forward to next week?
Well, I don't remember if you remember the results from that race.
I remember, yeah.
But yeah, no, I enjoy Rockingham. So it's been since that race, since the last time I raced there. So
oh wow,
it's been many years. So I'm kind of I think most of us probably don't run that track. So it's gonna be a challenge going in. The line's usually about the same, but I'm curious if there's gonna be a top line. But I'm kind of looking forward to Sonoma. It's kind of one of my favorite road courses. So get through the next week. Hopefully, don't crash and have a shot at the championship.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you on track. Any shout outs that you want to give before we let you go here tonight?
Yeah, I think I pretty much gave everybody a shout out on the team, but I want to thank you guys for the show on, all the sponsors that put this series on, and the drivers tonight, man. That was a heck of a show, man. 2-3 wide all night, just very few incidents. So hats off to everyone, man, and we'll catch them next week.
All right, man. We appreciate you. That's Justin Wilson, our second place finisher tonight. Hey, go celebrate this run, bud.
All right, before we pick up our interview with our winner, Scott Tompkins, tonight, I want to announce in the chat, Joe Stankovich, you are the winner of the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Diecast. Thanks for your participation in the chat tonight. Don't worry, if you didn't win, we'll be giving away a few more the rest of the season. Joe, let us know. I put my email in there, ssracingleagues@gmail.com. Get in touch with us. Send us your address so we can get that shipped out to you for free later on this week. We'll put it in the mail. And, yeah, we appreciate everyone who's tuned in. Continue to watch. We're going to talk about who made the chase and who did not. There are some surprising results. We'll get to those after we talk to our winner, though, Scott Tompkins. We'll bring him into the booth right now. Hey, Scott Tompkins in the number 25. This is Ellis Thomas and Chris in the booth. You got a copy, sir?
Got a copy, gentlemen.
Well, we had mentioned it as we geared up for the green-white checker that you had come up about a knuckle short at Talladega on the losing end of the closest ever Slingshot Racing League finish. And, man, your fortune turned around tonight. You picked up the win. First of all, congrats on that. Let's start at the end. Walk us through those final 2 laps and how intense that was. I suspect you're going to be sending a Christmas card to Aaron Smith this year.
Yeah, Aaron will be getting a card. All the payday guys will be getting a card. They were a huge help throughout the whole race. But Randy and Justin got together, and I don't remember if you guys remember from our old league that, what was it, Chase and Randy were pushing and pushed together, got loose, and Jamie and I actually led that win. Same thing happened. The two of them got a little loose. I just backed it up to Aaron, and off we went.
And you did a awesome job. Tonight, we didn't see a caution until lap 50. Walk us through kind of the respect that you saw between drivers out on the track tonight that allowed us to get through essentially 80% or more of this race without a yellow flag at Daytona.
Oh, no, it was nice and calm pretty much throughout the entire race. After pit stops, when they fanned out there after we pit, made it a little bit more exciting, but we got it back in line. And even in that wreck, it was like a graceful wreck. But, I was sliding sideways. I hit Josh. I went all the way down the track. Someone killed Wesley. I hit Wesley a little bit. So I had some right front damage, I think. But it was, even for wrecking, we politely wrecked.
It was, yeah. Everyone was doing a good job out there to take care of each other. We saw a couple of near misses. There was a point, I don't know if you mentioned or not, where Justin Wilson gave a shot, or he got a shot from somebody and was just almost out of control. And I thought that was going to be the big wreck we had been waiting for. But drivers out there, y'all did a good job tonight of just giving each other space. But we talked about the importance of lining up the bumps right to the back bumpers of these trucks, and we saw a lot of that tonight go really well for the most part. So kudos to you guys. You are not, unfortunately, in the chase.
I am.
Oh yeah, you are. My bad. Yeah, sorry. Sorry.
I was 12
was
going into
was
this.
it wishful thinking? No, I'm just kidding. You're ninth, so you're locked in. You were locked in to begin with, but. Talk to us a little bit. Actually, no, you weren't locked in to begin with.
No,
I'm just looking at the points. You were 12th on the start of this race, so you were on the bubble. and you needed a win. You went out there and got it tonight. Was that kind of the mentality you raced with from the drop of the green flag, was you had to go out there and protect that position with a really good finish?
Yeah, I was just riding, and I just knew as long as I was in front of Evan, Sean, who was actually pushing me from behind, and Jamie, that I was kind of just fine as long as I was by those guys. But once the green-white checker thing happened and I lined up 5th, and I knew the 3 payday guys were going to try to get together, as much as they'll hate to hear me say this, I just drove straight instead of turning with them. But, Jacob was on my outside and just let Aaron push me.
Well, man, y'all made it. I won't say you made it look easy out there, but going into the chase, man, what kind of chances do you give yourself? You got some momentum. I know it's Daytona, but a win is a win. What do you got to do to get pretty deep into the top 5? You think you got a chance at that?
I'll have to practice Sonoma starting like now till Sonoma time, and then figure out Darlington. Those are my 2 weakest tracks throughout this. Randy and Justin and Jacob have Darlington pretty figured out. I don't, and I can't turn right to save my life. So it's going to be pretty interesting for those 2. But beyond that, I feel like I could be a threat, especially with how Dover went last week and what my long run pace does. I think I'll be good at the other races.
Man, you did a good job out there tonight. Looking forward to seeing you and what you do in the inaugural chase for the championship for Slingshot Racing League, the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance. Got any shout-outs before we let you go celebrate this dub?
First, this paint scheme. This paint scheme in 3 races has finished 1st, 2nd, and 1st. So I have to shout out my paint scheme. I'm completely lucky in this scheme, so that's what I'm going to do first. From there, it's Lee Dawson, Pablocki Sign Company, who puts his name on the side of this truck, lets me run his company, even though he teases me from time to time. From there, it's 3D1M. I know it's just mainly Ryan now, and then all the payday guys this week. You 2 for putting on this league. I know I've been a little bullish lately, but you guys, I know it's a thankless job. I know Sam has a very thankless job, so appreciate all you guys for putting us on and letting us race weekly.
Hey, we appreciate you. Does Sam have an easy night out there tonight?
I'm surprised he didn't take a nap. I mean, I might have. If I was still race controlling, I might have taken a nap. But he had to throw that 1 caution, which I think was the right call. So he had it pretty easy, but he did have to make 1 call.
Yeah, everyone was working hard tonight. Appreciate you, Scott. Good job with that win. Congrats, and we'll let you go celebrate that.
Alrighty, guys. I hope you have a great evening.
You as well. All right, Chris, this race had a lot. Even though these drivers didn't have a caution until lap 50, they were racing their guts out. It takes a lot of self-control to race the way they did tonight. And some drivers were rewarded for that, and other drivers who got caught up in those last 2 cautions within the final 10 laps really paid the price in terms of points. I don't think we have a points graphic ready at this moment, but we are going to walk through the points here momentarily. But let's look at the finishing order. We talked to the top 3. Randy Bechtel, again, Randy Bechtel's like just a shoe-in for a top 5, it feels like, weekly. Shout out to Patrick Piper, not running the full season with us, but goes out there and gets a 5th place in that Get Well Soon mom paint scheme for his mom Ingrid. So good job for Patrick Piper. Jacob Bradley 6th. Evan Pienta, Chris, with that 7th place finish, locked himself into the chase for the championship. Dustin Scruggs, we mentioned it, Chris. We talked about lap cars fighting to get their lap back. Scruggs is a classic example of why drivers do that. He gets the caution he needed at lap 50. He goes on to get a top 10 finish. So Jay Leach finishes 9th. I don't think that is probably going to be the finish he wanted. We saw him run in the top 2 or 3, Chris, all night long. We'll talk about what the results are for the chase here momentarily, but Paul Thomas gets himself the top 10 there in the number 42. No commentators cursed tonight. We talked about him, and he hung tight in the top 10 and picks up. That might be his first top 10 ever in Slingshot Racing League. I have to look at the stats on that. You don't think so? You know better?
I think he's got 1 or 2 other ones. Yeah, but that's
he's going to add.
Yeah, that's definitely a great run for him, though.
He's going to add to that tonight. Johnny Rapp finishes 11th after a untimely drop down to the apron, but a couple of laps before pit stops. Chris Pierce finishes 12th. Nick Lucci, his streak of top 3s racing with us over the course of the season is going to be broken with a 13th, but still a solid, respectable showing for Lucci tonight in the 19 truck. Jacob Chase, we didn't hear much noise from him, but gets a solid finishing position in the 14th position tonight. Chris Blassie, the 15, finishes in 15th position. Chris Blassie, I expected to see him up a little bit more up the front tonight, but maybe he was kind of looking at it. He hasn't raced the entire season in its full entirety, so maybe he was looking at just kind of like being a little bit low-key tonight, finishing 15th. Patrick Colby, Chris, what happened to Patrick?
I don't know.
Oh, that's spin. He spun down to the apron. I think
right.
that was a caution that never happened. Because it was a single car spin. He got down on the entrance of pit road, and that was just a bad break. But he still comes back to fight for a 16th position. We saw Scotty Sobczak get involved in a crash. James Danforth was involved in a crash. Nick DeCesare was involved in a crash. I believe a lot of these drivers kind of fell victim. We did hear a lot from Lee Campbell tonight. I expected to hear a little bit more from him, but he brings it home 22nd. And Chris, while you round out those standings, or the finishing order, I'm going to send us a points graphic so we can get that uploaded and put on the screen. Give me just a second.
I've got it.
Oh, you've already got it.
Yep.
My gosh, how fast do you work?
I will. What I will do is you look at the remaining finishers in the field tonight. We'll actually click over here, Matt Scherf in 31st. And so what we will do now is I have to put the old points up there first for you to see. So that's what I will do.
Yep. Sounds good.
So this is the points. These were the points coming into the race tonight. You can see all of our bubble drivers right there, how close it is. And now you will see what it is at the conclusion of tonight's race.
Yeah, this is a lot of, some drivers are going to be upset. You can see how close the bubble battle was there, but on the other end of it, Chris Pierce makes it in. Evan Pienta is the 12th and final driver to make it into the chase. And then you can see the drivers who are on the outside looking in. Wesley Pistol, Chris, with that 27th place finish tonight. Worst case scenario for him, right?
Yeah.
Found himself involved in a couple incidents, could not get his way up. And I'm just looking at, I'm not sure if he got that damage repaired, but 3 spots.
Yeah.
3 spots.
What hurt him also was, it's just bad luck. I mean, the thing that hurt him was that the racing was so clean that there weren't any other trucks out of the race. And so it just meant that his, position was just going to drop even more. Normally, by the end right there, when his crash happened, we've got several drivers already out of the race at Daytona. But it's just really unfortunate for him.
Yeah, so you can see Jay Leach, so close, 4 points out. He had a good run going. Had he finished where he was running and averaging most of the night, Chris, that number 22 would have been in, and we could have seen a driver like Evan Pienta on the outside. So every little position matters. We said that at the beginning. These drivers were going to be battling and just scrounging for every point tonight. Chris Pierce, Evan Pienta come out on the lucky side of that. Wesley Pistol, Jay Leach, James Danforth come out on the losing end of that battle. And again, next week, we're going to be racing at Rockingham. We're going to talk about a couple of other cool things we have going on throughout the week. If you're on our YouTube, subscribe, because we're going to be putting out a bracket challenge for everyone to play along with for the drivers outside of the top 12. Not everyone's got something to fight for. We're going to be giving away a Butt Kicker Gamer Pro setup to a driver outside of the top 12, outside of the chase, in a bracket challenge that we're going to be putting out for you to look at later on in the week. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead, subscribe, hit the like button. Chris, we got another race coming up tomorrow night. You and I are not going to be in the booth. Johnny Rapp and Evan Pienta, 2 of the drivers you saw out on the track tonight, they're trading in their driving suit and driving gloves for the microphone tomorrow night. It's going to be the kickoff race for our MX-5 on 5 Spring Classic Series, where drivers will be taking the Mazda MX-5 Miata to ovals and road courses. So kind of a mixed series. A lot of different talents are going to be able to shine. We've got 22 drivers taking the grid tomorrow night at Watkins Glen to kick things off. Same time, same channel, but on Wednesday night, if you want to get notified of those races, click the notification bell icon to make sure you know when we go live for those as well. It's going to be great, Chris, but I'm looking forward to that, but I'm looking forward to being in the booth next week for our kickoff chase race at Rockingham. What can fans expect to see at a track that really couldn't be any more different than Daytona.
You said it right there. It is completely different, a completely different world at Rockingham. Rockingham's known for tire wear, so I think the driver that is most disciplined for keeping that right front on the whole time. You heard Justin Wilson bring it up. I don't know if these trucks are if they're gonna spread out over the whole track. It's a track that's also known for being able to run from the white line at the bottom of the track all the way up to the wall as well. So very unique layout. A couple corners, couple ends that are very different from one another as well. It was a favorite on the NASCAR circuit back when it was being used regularly. So I'm looking forward to it. It's definitely something that our drivers don't do a lot, and I think that they will. I think that a lot of them will really like it, and I think some of them are going to leave there with a headache next week.
Headache is an understatement for Rockingham, my friend. Lots of headaches tonight, but lots of drivers excited about a race with just 2 cautions here at Daytona. Lots on the line. Scott Tompkins is also going to win that $25 as part of the crown jewel. So not only does he take home a win, he takes home a paycheck, small paycheck, but a paycheck nonetheless. A couple of drivers make it into the chase. A couple of drivers left out of the chase, Chris. Rockingham next week to kick off the chase is going to be great. We'll talk to you next Tuesday, but remember, catch the Mazda MX-5 Miata Spring Classic race on Watkins Glen tomorrow night. I think that's going to do us for tonight, Chris. For Ellis Thomas and Chris Smith and Slingshot Racing League, this has been the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance from Daytona. Have a good night, everybody.